So Deidre, we have another question that I wanted to ask you, which is somebody reached out to us with this one. In my organization, trust is low and transparency is hard to measure. How does this impact our decision making?
How does it? The better question is, how does it not impact our decision making? I think the first thing that comes to mind is, lack of trust means that your team is always going to question any decisions made. And so I don't know if this is coming from the person who's building this culture, like the CEO or the executive director or the manager of a team, or if it's coming from the folks who are...
it's coming from a director level person in the organization.
Right. So basically what I would say is, and then you'll pipe in, but I think the first thing that comes to mind is it's affecting decision making in that your team is likely not speaking up around a lack of trust will lead people to question whether or not they want to share what they're thinking, what their input is. It will stifle innovation because people don't trust that their voice is going to be heard. A lack of trust could also mean things around why share my opinion, it's not going to be heard, or why share my opinion, it's just going to be stolen, like my thought or my idea is just going to be stolen, I'm not going to get the credit I deserve. It also is connected to this idea, you've mentioned, make sure you get the Titanic in there, and right, and so that basically means, I think across many trainings right now, there's the use of the iceberg, and whenever we use the iceberg, there's this idea of what's below the water line as opposed to what's above the water line, right? And it's not often that which you can see that is the problem, and that's with trust, right? So a lack of trust will mean there's so much below the waterline that you really can't see that is a detriment to your team working positively, to you actually accessing the talent that is available on your team. I'm sure there's other stuff you want to say.
I mean, I think it's impossible to have an effective decision-making environment if there isn't any trust. It's what you said. People are always questioning decisions that get made, but more often, and just as much, they're questioning how those decisions get made and who is involved in making those decisions. And organizations keep going in circles because they don't have trust. And they don't have trust and they don't have transparency. There's no clarity about how decisions get made. And so people are constantly blindsided by the decisions that do get made.
What would you say to the manager who says, well, it can't be that transparent because I don't know how, or I don't want to handle all the questions that could come up with me being fully transparent?
I think that this is a classic pay me now or pay me later situation. You're either going to be transparent about your decision making, about what decisions you're taking on, how you're going to make them, what they are. You're either going to do those things and do them within the course of your daily operations, or you're going to be stymied as people are uncomfortable and are frustrated by the lack of insight and clarity they have about your decision making. Now, there are some people we have seen in our work, some people who purposely do not want to be clear about their decision making, or as one person said to me in an engagement, I don't want people to understand that I'm really making all the decisions in my environment.
In which we quickly told him they already know.
They already know, exactly right. So it is a fallacy that managers persist in sometimes, that they don't have to be transparent about their decision making. They do. It's also a fallacy that they can continue to be autocratic about how they make decisions, and that they're the big decision maker and everybody else is just going to be